Hello, friends and fellow rebels. To continue our conversation about channeling, let me share a few war stories that I got to exchange with several very close friends back in the 90s when channeling was still a fresh issue and something that had uh, been more recently practiced, well, maybe for about a decade within New Age and mystical circles. And it's quite interesting some of the things that we learned through hard fought experience. And one of them is how important intention is anytime you enter a spiritual space. Now, in the mundane physical world, the most important thing is your actions and your words. Your thoughts and your feelings don't necessarily enter into it, the picture. At least that's what we're told. Doesn't matter what you feel. Shut up and do what we tell you. Okay. Doesn't matter what you think. This is what you need to do. Well, in a spiritual space, your thoughts and your feelings are critical, and they will define your experience in many cases. So, channeling stories. I was very close to someone who sat in channeling circles, who he would try to channel. Most often, when he attempted it, he would fall asleep because of the relaxation involved and because of his own internal direction. He was not somebody who liked to sit back and let someone else take the wheel. He was more of a in control kind of person. So channeling wasn't something that really worked for him very well. He could do it, but not something that was his favorite thing. In the circle that he was in, one of the most interesting experiences he had was with let me back up a moment. In channeling circles, often, once you have defined your space, protected, cleared, centered, warded, and I don't know if in his circle he assigned roles to different people to protect the channeler. Not everyone had, well, let's just say the protocols were really nebulous. Most people were flying blind at that point. But you would have the person who would sit as a channel. They would sit and they would be open for whoever was moving through them to answer questions or give advice or just speak to those who were present. And you'd have the people who were waiting their turn, or perhaps they were just there to witness and had questions and perhaps just wanted to hear what various people, various entities that people were bringing through had to say. And in his case, there was one young man who, and here's where the intention part comes in, he wanted to be very impressive to the women in the circle. Young man. So, formulating that he wanted to contact an entity that was very impressive, probably by his own standards. He managed to contact something that identified itself as a very powerful warrior of an alien, non human. I wasn't there, I didn't get the full story, I didn't get the name of the species. But he had a very strong perspective about how things should be and what is right and what is wrong. And he knew about humanity and our issues and our struggles, and he could give us good advice. And one woman across the circle had a question about a gentleman that she was involved with and if he liked her and if she should continue the courtship and continue to date him and see him. And the entity, the person, the non-human person, answered the question. Well, a few other people asked a few more questions. And then she put forward her question again. Same question, slightly rephrased. The entity wasn't really happy about being asked twice, and so he gave the same answer a little more adamantly. So one or two more people asked questions, And then she was given leave to ask the final question, and she restated the same question and asked again. Apparently, at that point, the entity decided that she was too stupid to be in the gene pool and lunged at her with the intention of removing her from the gene pool. 4 other people within the circle had to jump on the channeler, pin him down, and bring the human back into him, while the entity roared and frothed and struggled and tried to get to the stupid human, because really, we don't want that running around the herd. That would just bring the intelligence of the whole group right down. This is a good example of you got to be careful what you wish for. In his case, the channeler's case, he certainly did bring through an impressive entity, but was it the kind of entity that we all really wanted to talk to? So it's best to be cautious in the world of channel when humans, some of us, we're like radios, different frequencies. You can tune up, you can tune down, you can find a space, so that sounds interesting, and dial that in. But when you are stepping back and giving what you've dialed in control over what you say and do, you better be certain that what you're working with is something of the highest good for you, for the people around you, and even for the entity that you're working with. Because sometimes interface with us, it can hurt them. Just something for you to think about, and welcome to the forest.